to those just joining us, our guest is Honourable Bamidele Salam. Let's go this route. President Tinubu very recently has declared that the urgency for the creation of state police, that is also supporting the idea. Attention now shifts to the National Assembly, and how would you say the role of the National Assembly is critical enough to supporting this bill?
Oh, well, absolutely. It's the National Assembly that can amend the Nigerian Constitution, the National Assembly and the state houses of assembly. And having what we call state police will require an amendment of the Constitution. I have been an advocate of state police myself for so many years. I believe very strongly that in the spirit of true federalism, security should not just be on the exclusive list. Police should not be on the exclusive list. Like in other federal systems, we have a police system that serves each of the component units for the purpose of ensuring internal security. And Nigeria cannot be different. And if we have tried something for almost 60 years and it's not working, why should we continue in the same path? It's obvious it is not working because most of the traditional role of the police today has been taken over by the military. You have a clash somewhere between some groups, we bring in the military. You have incidents of castle rustling, you bring in the Air Force. You have a communal class somewhere, you call in the army. Now, no country works that way. And it is because of the fact that we have resisted the need for our policing system to be decentralized in a manner that introduces more participation of the local community and the subnationals in the management of that internal security. So as far as I'm concerned, if the president indeed wants to push that agenda, I'll be one of the people on the forefront of pushing it on the floor of the parliament so that the National Assembly can urgently fast-track the process of amending that portion of the Nigerian Constitution which places police and security on the exclusive legislative list. It just cannot work, and we cannot continue like this and expect that one miracle will happen that will improve the situation. No.
Well, concerns have been raised about, the abuse of this structure of the police, local police. If this eventually comes to the National Assembly, are we going to see some sort of structure being put in place in the legislation to ensure that there is no abuse of power in this regard, or are we going to see, those that are against it, winning the fight against it?
Well, you see, it's a two-edged sword. The first one is that we must all agree that when the purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse is inevitable, like the saying goes. And so many things have been abused in Nigeria. The judiciary has been abused. The electoral body system has been abused by those who have the power to do it. Unless we have a political class that will consciously decide that we want to do things the right way, regardless of what you put in place, regardless of what you put in place, there will always be abuse. I want to talk about the police. Even the police today, who tells you that the police even today is not being abused? It just depends on who has the control of the police. Those who have the control of the police today also abuse the police to score points in some instances. So it's two-way. The first one is a deliberate change of orientation by political actors, by the leaders of this country, for all us to agree that enough of impunity, enough of, infusing personal interest into institutions of government. The second one is that in making the law, we should also introduce measures that will minimize the likelihood of abuse. And that is very, very important. When the late President Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua started the reform of the electoral body, we saw the kind of measures that were brought up and introduced. Unfortunately, most of the gains of that time have been eroded over the years. But, the process of appointing the INEC chairman, the process of appointing the commissioners and what have you, every one of these processes are meant to reduce impunity. So, in having state police, we have to be conscious of the kind of structure we put in place, the kind of involvement of the civil society, of the media, of the community in the appointment of key players, the commissioner of police, the divisional police officers, the area commanders and what have you. We have to do all those things in a manner that will not give the governors of a state the absolute power to just decide one day and say, oh, this is the man I want for this is the man I want for this, without following all the procedures laid together. But don't forget what I've said. Even when you do that, unless we all agree as political leaders to change our ways and to stick to best practices, regardless of the law, regardless of the rule you put in place, those who want to abuse a system will continually abuse it because they know that there will be no implication for such abuses. Reports
suggest delays in funding constituency projects, and this is fueling discontent at the House level, even as the leadership also denies this. Isn't this agitation really coming from the grassroots?
Well, the truth is that the implementation of our budget generally, I don't want to just fix it to the issue of the zonal intervention project or what you call constituency project. Implementation of the budget generally. The public sees the huge deficit we have in our infrastructure. So for the man in Ragberi in Egbero local government of Osun State, or Owode in the not local government of Osun State, what matters to them are the tangibles. The road you fix, the electrical infrastructure that they see, the health center that you fix. So when those things are not done, there will definitely be agitation. And that is what is happening at the moment today. As we speak, we have not commenced the implementation of the 2025 budget. This is September 2025. For 2024, we have not done 60%, we have not even done 50% of 2024. So the zonal intervention project or constituency project, as they call it, also come under the same, purview of what the public is expecting, that we will spend money to fix infrastructure, to provide services, so that we can also reflate the economy and reduce the degree of agitation that we have here and there. So it's not just strictly speaking about a constituency project. That's just a minute part of the national budget, which has not been funded even as we speak now.
So where does the problem lie? Is it with the Ministry of Finance? Because if lawmakers are having difficulty in implementing their constituency project, doesn't that affect their legitimacy back home? Okay,
so the problem lies, or rather, those who can communicate what the problem is are the people in the executive. Okay. A few days ago, I had the president say that by the month of August of this year, we had met our revenue target for 2025. And I said, wow, that's good news. But as good as the news is, the bad news is that it has not reflected. If we have met our revenue target by August of 2025, why haven't we started implementing the capital component of the 2025 budget? And don't forget, for every hour, every week, every day of delay in implementing the budget, the cost of delivering on those projects shoots up. The cost of building materials, construction materials, and what have you, will not be static in the market. So what we could have solved with ₦1 million in February, this is September, we may need to spend 1.3 million naira, if not more, in September. So it is the executive that should rise up to fidelity to budget cycle, adherence to the principles of the medium-term expenditure framework, budgetary discipline. That is what we need as a country. Without that, I'm afraid we're not going anywhere. So it's not so much about the legitimacy of the lawmaker, it's the legitimacy of the leaders generally that is being called into question. We don't implement the constituency project. We just nominate. We nominate them into ministries and agencies, waiting for the government to do the needful in terms of those nominations.
There are reports that some lawmakers now question their loyalty to the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, especially over recruitment into the National Assembly Commission. Is the Speaker facing a real confidence crisis?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. I'm not sure there's any Speaker in recent times that has enjoyed as much acceptability and support like Dr. Tajuddin Abbas. He has no legitimacy problem at all. Yes, in a system like that, 360 people, you must have one or two persons who, as a result of not having sufficient information, I don't want to use a stronger word, as a result of not having sufficient information about certain things, will heap it on the Speaker. The Speaker doesn't handle recruitment into National Assembly Service Commission. That's a public institution. They are bound by laws that we make. They are bound by regulations that we make. And there are committees of the House that oversight them. If the National Assembly Service Commission did a recruitment against the laws and regulations, the appropriate House committee of the House should call them to question. It doesn't have to do with the Speaker. This Speaker has been very transparent. He has been very, very compassionate. He has been a team player to everybody. And I'm saying this on the national television. He has no crisis of confidence at all. And I don't foresee that even happening throughout his tenure because of his own personal nature. He's a man who is very, very accommodating, very transparent, and very, very contented, extremely contented. He doesn't go after anything, out of the ordinary.
Well, let's look at an allegation by a Jigawa lawmaker that claims that your colleagues must take millions of naira just to get a bill passed or even their motions on the order paper. Though this is unproven, but doesn't this allegation damage the credibility of the National Assembly? Is this what actually applies?
Well, to answer the last question, the answer is no. That is not what applies. I've been in the House now for 6 years, going 7. This is not what applies. I've never paid a dime to anybody for a bill or a motion, and I don't know where he got that information from. And this is the problem with a few of our colleagues who probably did not get the right kind of orientation when they got into the House. I think the management of the National Assembly needs to do maybe he has fallen into the hand of dupes, or he has been conned by someone somewhere, to ask him to bring any money for them. But I can assure you that not in this House. I have never paid a dime, and I thank God there's a recent ranking of members' productivity, and out of the 20 most productive members of the House of Reps, I was mentioned as one. So if I've had this number of bills, this number of motions, and I've never given anybody that, why should you even give anybody any money for what the Constitution and the House rules allow you to be able to do? So I don't know where, when I read it, I was like, and I don't even know this fellow, I don't know him. We're actually so many in the House that unless you are very close to some people, you may not know who they are. And I don't know where that is coming from. But I can assure you that this matter will be taken care of by the time we resume by the appropriate committee of the House. It needs to come because he has actually injured the reputation of members of the House collectively and severally. And he may need to provide a context to this kind of wild, unsubstantiated, unfounded, and false claim that this, my colleague has made. So
will he be facing a disciplinary committee?
Well, I don't know, but I know some of us will raise the matter before the House, and we will ask that the Ethics and Privileges Committee investigate the matter. We are going to certainly ask that, because you are not the first person asking. I've been called by several people from my constituency asking whether it is true that we pay money for bills and motions and whatever. So we'll raise the matter and then let him go to the Ethics and Privileges Committee and prove his claim before that committee. What happens after then, I may not be able to say.
Let's talk politics in Osun State for a moment. The alleged withholding of council funds. What updates do you have for us on that? Well, the
update we have is that for some reasons there are some persons at the federal level who do not want the government of the state to succeed, and who, in trying to do that, have used strong hand tactics and clearly illegal tactics to withhold funds that are meant for local government in the state. There is absolutely no basis for it. There are judgments of the court, including the most recent one by the Court of Appeal, which recognized some set of local government chairmen and asked that they be recognized forthwith. But for some reasons unknown to us, some players somewhere are trying to just muzzle the state government to achieve whatever reasons. But I can assure you that they are going to fail, because we're on the right side of the law. The governor has continued to deliver on good governance, has continued to serve the people, and has continued to emphasize the fact that, as far as he was concerned, a president who kicked against such when he was the governor in Lagos will not authorize that. The governor believed very strongly that this must be something some people are doing somewhere behind the president, and continue to appeal to the president to intervene so that they don't also rubbish the legacy he has built as a fighter for justice, as a fighter for democracy in the past few decades.
Is Osun State going to be going to court on this matter?
Oh yeah, the Osun State government has filed a matter before the Supreme Court we are expecting a hearing date for this matter to be determined by the Supreme Court, whether by virtue of the clear provision of the Nigerian Constitution, any arm of government has the power to withhold funds, whether the federal government has the power to withhold funds meant for any other arm of government. There is an established case, like I told you, Lagos State versus federal government during the Obasanjo era was very clear pronouncement of the Supreme Court. And we don't think the Supreme Court will now come today and reverse what it said in that time. I doubt if that will happen.
That's our package for you today. Do not forget to always watch TVC News for the latest news and updates from the National Assembly. You can also see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel, our WhatsApp and Telegram. Make sure you subscribe to stay up to date. Thank you for watching. I am Tijesu Adeoye. See you next time.